morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is day 4 of a week of Facebook Lives where I'm just chatting with some friends and colleagues around all things doggy and doggy behaviour. This morning I have Colum Scriven with me from Doggy Chilling. And how do I know Colum? So I've known Colum for many years now. I originally met Colum when I was helping him with his dog before he then became qualified himself in this same method that we're going to talk about today. And I just wanted, before we get started, I just had to show you this. I'm sure Colum's got a picture, but this is a book that Colum's wife wrote after we met, probably about 6 years ago. Colum, would it have been?
I think it's more like 8 or 9 years, to be honest.
Okay, we're getting old. That's fine. That's fine. We can live with that. So this is Sally, who I know very well and is one of Colum's dogs. But I'm going to let him introduce himself and his dogs to you now, and then we'll see where this conversation takes us. Thanks, Colum. Go for it.
Morning, Julie. Good morning to all my fans out there. Well, my mum. I hope you're listening, Mum. Nice to see you. Our story started, I think it was about 10 years ago now, actually, just thinking about it. We've had Sally about 10 years.
Wow.
And we got this rescue dog from the rescue centre, little collie, lying in a crate. We'd been told that she'd been found on the streets of Glasgow, the age of 1. 2 families had taken and returned her, saying she was boisterous. And we'd read Jan Fennell's book, The Dog List, and we thought, we're experts. We know how to do this. We took this little thing on. And like most people talk, when you get a rescue dog, you get sort of like a 2-week grace period where everything seems fine. And she seemed to be settling in really well with her other dog, Jenna. And then things started to happen, and she would start fighting with Jenna. She was toileting the house. She was barking constantly. In fact, she barked so much that she lost her voice. So we got this little squeak. And she was dreadful taking out in the street for a walk. She would just pull and lunge and howl at everything. One day, a paper bag floated across the road, and she reacted. And my wife, Anne, was just really worried that she'd get pulled over and hurt her. And my son at the time too, he would have been sort of late teens, and he and Anne didn't really like her. And
Sally.
I know, I can hear her scrambling around behind me actually. And Anne decided to do something about it. She looked up Jan Fennell's website and found this wonderful woman. She was known as Julie Thompson then, but now she's Julie Cluley, and came over and just spent hours with us, helping us understand Sally. And we thought Sally was a problem, Jenna was an angel. And Julie was saying, well, actually, I think you might be having trouble with Jenna as well. And we said, well, yeah, she's fine, but she has started attacking other dogs. Oh, okay. And she chased a sheep in a field the other day. And we went, oh, right, okay. And then, and that started us on the journey. And as Julie showed there, Anne, my wife, she wrote her first book out of it called Learning to Listen, and it was very much her experience of us rehoming Sally, and she just left academia as well, so she was trying to find her own identity, and the book fell into her lap, and also being inspired by Julie and what she was able to teach us, I wanted to learn more. So I then went on and trained as a dog lister and qualified a couple of years later. So and I'm an expert now. Imagine I'm on the telly and I'm an expert. So you there?
Fantastic. I love it. I just love Sally, all dogs, but I know for you and for me, actually, Sally has just been the most wonderful teacher, because she says it how it is. There's no messing around with Sally. Jenna is a little bit more subtle, a bit more nuanced about her behaviors and how she expresses herself, essentially. Whereas Sally just says it how it is. And I I, as you know, have a very soft spot for Sally. And she has just taught us so much. And interestingly, weirdly, just this morning, I got an inquiry, a message around someone who has a young dog, a year old, and I know has knows a little bit about what we're talking about. She's actually completed my puppy love program in the format before it was kind of all automated. She was very kindly came along as a guinea pig at the beginning of lockdown when everything shut down, and we had to take everything online very quickly. And Sherry and Leo were one of my first attendees on that program. So I know that she has a really good understanding of what we're talking about. And just recently, Leo has been displaying behaviors that Sherry's a little bit worried about when he's out on a walk, which is that he is starting to become protective of food if he gets given a liver cake. So we have a wonderful coffee shop place on the prom called Crumbs. Big shout out for Crumbs, love it, best coffee ever. They also sell liver cake for dogs, which is also fantastic. But what can happen with many dogs is that if they're already feeling a little bit worried and protective of their owners, and then you add food into the equation, it can all be a bit too much. And interestingly, she also said, which brought it to mind, was when you were talking about Sally and a piece of paper just moves and then there's a reaction. And that's exactly what's been happening with Leo, protecting. I think she said it was a piece of paper that Leo had found. Sometimes it can be leaves, it can be pretty much anything. Maybe not for Leo, but generally. What's your thoughts on that? What could you do?
This week's been brilliant with all your sessions been doing each morning, listening to the different people. And Ali on Tuesday had made a really good point. Rather than sort of diving in, she starts asking questions about the dog. It was good. She used the term forensic questioning. And it's really understanding the nature of the dog, because ultimately every dog's different. And it's trying to understand what's going on in their heads. And it was, and you've already given out a few pointers, the fact that it's a year old and it's starting to become protective, and it's reacting to things like paper bags and things like that. And you also mentioned food as well, which can be an issue. So there's quite a few things going on there. So I suppose if I go back to Sally and her reacting, and I remember one of the things you taught us, Julie, was to keep Sally's world small. While she's feeling nervous like that, she's feeling very overwhelmed, and just keep her world small. And I don't think at the time I realized how small Sally's world was. And, we would be taken on a long walks or have her on a long trailing lead. And then, so we bring it down. I'd be walking her up and down the street, just to go to the toilet, etc. And even that was too big for her. And so, and it's this thing is when you see a problem, and you're trying to sort of identify what it is, can you take it back a step? Is the dog anxious now? What if we take it back a step? Is it calm? Is it coping? And I suppose the behavior is telling you something.
Yeah, the behavior is telling you something, exactly. And what I love about the fact that Sherry contacted me is that she's listening to Leo. She's recognizing that there's something going on in Leo's world here, and she wants to help, which is like 98% of the solution. It's like, yeah. And actually, she even put in the message that when it happened, she just popped him on the lead and left. Now that, in short, is the answer to the question. But like you said, the long-term solution is a bit deeper than that. there's a bit more to it. You need to step back a stage to looking at Leo's day, looking at his world, not just I guess the solution is never where the problem is. The real solution, yes, you can put him on a lead and take him away. But also, as Sherry pointed out, she doesn't want Leo to not have any friends. And she doesn't want her friends to be wary of Leo when they're out walking. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not a human issue rather than a dog issue?
Yeah. So if I was sort of teaching the method to someone, I always go back to basics, and I ask the question, what animal do you think the dog is based upon, closely related to? And then the answer will come back wolf. And then I'll ask, genetically, how closely are they related? And very few people get this answer right. And the answer is 99.98%, or 99.8%, or I've seen figures of 100%. That's genetically related, and they're so closely related that wolves and dogs can breed. So their nature is that of a wolf. And it was Jan Fennell who went and studied wolves in the wild, went to Yellowstone, and she realized that they're pack animals and they avoid other packs. And it's this idea that when we go out in the street, the dog's going out, it's looking out and saying, is that a threat? Is that a threat? That person there, is that, are they another pack? Are they a threat? And they may know some dogs already, so tolerate them. But a lot of other dogs will be going, I'm not sure about that. Is it a threat? Do I have to do something about it? And it's that sort of, what state are they in when they go out? Are they nice and relaxed? You'd mentioned this the other day, I think, when you were talking with Ali about going on the lead. Are they calm when you go out the front door? And if they're not, the stress levels are up. If they meet another threat that they're not sure about, because no one's ever told them, they've never had these sort of, a wolf will have 8 months education before it goes out on the hunt, before it's allowed to fully join in with it. So if they're at that sort of stress level there, and they meet something else, the stress level is going to go even higher. And I remember Ali saying that when she's really stressed, she may snap her husband's head off. Now, I would never do that to him because I never get stressed at all. But I know I've been in that situation. And it's only by Anne's reaction I thought, oh, did I overreact there to something? And it's just perfectly natural that the dog's going, I can't cope. And that was what was happening with our Sally. So it's back to that point with what you were saying with the owner that in fact I forgot what we were saying, that where are their stress levels and what's sort of raising them when
what's raising their stress levels. And my advice would be to anybody that has either had a consultation or been on a program or any of that sort of thing, is go back to the basics, go back to what you know. So go back to the four principles that we talk about, which is food, separation, perceived danger, and the walk, and go back and look at what's going on in those areas. And that actually is where your solution lies, not when you're out, when you're already out and the situation has happened. Exactly, it's too late. What Sherry did in that situation, put on the lead and come home, was perfect. Basically, it was perfect. She knows the answer already herself, which is amazing. The other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on that kind of was led from that, and also a few other people have mentioned to me this week about barking, just barking in general. Now, essentially what Leo's doing is barking, but it's coming out in a growl and a snapping, so it's going to that next stage. The barking is the warning. So if and not all dogs will give a warning, but most will give a warning. And if your dog's barking, then that's a really good thing, because I know it doesn't feel like that, but it is a really good thing, because that's them giving you a warning. There's two other reasons why dogs bark. So dogs bark as a warning in the example we've kind of been talking about already this morning. They will bark or howl really through separation, and they will bark for attention. That's your three main reasons why dogs will bark. So if your dog is barking, first of all, consider it a good thing, because they're communicating with you. And secondly, I guess, remember that it's sorry, my
So
world's gone all.
I would ask the question, and it was something I heard the other week, and I hadn't really thought of it that way. It was like, when your dog's barking, what way is it looking? And that's a really good way of filtering out what the issue.
Yes.
If it's looking at you when it's barking, it's wanting attention. So we
Yes.
just ignore it. Okay. If it's looking out the window, the door or something, it's barking at danger. Or if you're out on the street and it's barking at something, that's when you have to deal with it. And you initially it's asking the question, there's danger, who's going to sort it? And if I start shouting at my dog, telling it to shut up, I'm just adding to the barking. I'm not dealing with it. It can hear my stress levels in my voice, and maybe my heart's beating a bit higher as well. And all the dog needs to be done is be reassured. You know, you've done your job of alerting me to danger, because that's every dog's job, to alert the pack to danger. So thank you, well done, good dog. And if it carries on barking, it's saying to you, look, I think this is a bit more serious than just a quick thanks. So you make it, you look towards where the problem is. So you might, if you're inside, you look out the window or look out the door, and then say thank you again. If you're out in the street, you probably make it obvious that you're looking and say thank you. And finally, if it carries on, it's not taking your word for it as the decision maker, someone that is protecting your dog. And if they're not accepting that word for you, if you're in the house, you just give them a short timeout, 10 seconds or until they stop barking. They lose the pack. That's the worst thing you can do to a dog in the wild, is to lose the pack. So quickly put them out the room, or you go out the room and leave them, and wait until they stop barking. Count to 10 and then let them out. If you're out in the streets, you can't really sort of do that. So just do what your friend Sherry did, was just walk them straight back home, take them away from danger. So Jenna we've had her 11 years now, and she's a dog I take into schools to work with children safely. And she's brilliant with kids. And as you said, she's really subtle with her communication, but she does not tolerate other dogs. You know, even after all these years of me working with her, and I've learned is my job is to protect her from danger. If she feels threatened, I'm not doing my job. And so I will hide behind cars. People think I'm a lurker in our street because I'm, hiding behind cars. But if Jenna doesn't see the danger, she's not going to feel afraid. Or if we meet someone along the track and I can't hide, I just go the other way. I run away, and because I want Jenna, so I take away from the danger, because otherwise she will take responsibility. I liken it to car drivers. If you were to go out with someone who's a reckless driver, would you trust your life with them again? If they said, do you fancy going out for a drive? We'll go for a drink as well. Do you fancy it? You think, oh, was that the time? I can't make it today. And it's about that. If Jenna doesn't trust me, she's going to take responsibility. So I'm going to drive. I'm sorry, you're no good. And then you mentioned separation anxiety as well, and that's all very much going back to the role that the dog feels in the pack. That if you're leaving, my babies are left.
Yeah.
And you've got to work back and do a lot around the house about what the dog's job is.
Yeah, and actually, it's just come to me because I don't want to go on too long this morning.
I'm enjoying this so much.
Sorry, we are going to go back to a little bit about the barking, but separation and separation anxiety is such a massive subject that I think we will look at that tomorrow, because it's massive, it's huge, and I think, or I'm hearing from clients and friends and family and stuff, that lockdown, it's been interesting for many people and many dogs. So we will,
You're going to get Kate to swat up for tomorrow then.
I'll get Kate to swat up. I'm pretty sure she doesn't need to swat. I am fairly certain she knows what she's talking about when it comes to separation anxiety, which is amazing. But as far as the barking goes and the excessive barking, the first thing to do is just think about, why are they barking? Recognize that they're trying to tell you something. Why are they doing it? And once you've figured out whether it's attention, warning, or separation, then you can decide what to do with it. As Colum very kindly just explained really well, if it's warning barking, you know what to do. The really quick, short answer to attention barking or separation barking is to ignore it. But there is a lot more that we can do around that will be helpful. But for the sort of short, sharp answer is definitely don't get involved and help and assist with it. So yeah, and
I'll
also
quickly show you. Oh, God, so you're going to say something?
No, I wasn't. Go for it. I was just going to tie up, but go for it.
Okay. So one last thing, we mentioned Sally here. I'd just like to share a little photo that I have of her. So she's still a nervous dog, and I still don't walk her. She spends most of her time in her bed, but she has become a bit of a charmer. And I would like to show you this picture that I have of Sally. Now, if I can make that bit bigger. And this is one of these Harry Potter photos. Watch this. She is just such a charmer. That is attention seeking. I want your attention. And yes, but she's gorgeous, and she
gets away with it because she's so cute. She gets away with it.
She doesn't get away with it, I'm afraid.
I think the fascinating thing about Sally and any dog is that we need to find what's going to work for her. Here she is.
Jenna barking.
Yeah. Is that Jenna?
I'm just going to do a thanks. Look, hang on a second. Thanks, Jenna. Good go. Well done.
So barking. What to do with barking in action, which will let Jenna see that she has.
Bound to be the postie.
Yeah, she's warned the pack that horrible postman is back again, and he really is a problem. So obviously, if you're practicing this, it's not going to happen like that first time. Colum spent many months and many years showing Jenna that he makes the decisions around who's allowed to put things through the door and who isn't. Colum's obviously decided the postman's okay because
I'll pay him a $5 later because I timed it so that he'd come right at the end there. Let's do barking, okay, right?
Yeah, so that he'll appear. But so don't be surprised if that doesn't work first time, but it will work, and it does work, and it just helps everybody be relaxed and listen and understand, and that's what I love about Anne's book, Learning to Listen, and the story of the full story of Sally and how she came to be with you guys.
And you're the star of it as well. You come in on a white horse and rescue us.
Oh yeah, Julie's on a white horse. Julie's terrified of horses. She's definitely not on a white horse. Brilliant. Yeah. So yeah, please do buy it. It's been out for years and years and years, as you probably can see from mine. I've read it a couple of times. It's one of those. It's not a how-to book. It's much more of a story. It's much more of if you have a rescue dog and you're feeling a bit out of your depth, it's a beautiful book to read, and know that you're not alone.
And that's a picture of Sally on the front as well.
Yeah, and that's her in action. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Colum. I really appreciate your time
and yours,
and your expertise and knowledge.
What can I say? I'm a guru. I'm a guru. I'm on telly.
We'll be back, I am sure, in January with yeah, some more chat. So if there is any questions or anything like that, well, actually, maybe not everybody does, but I have a group. It's called Julie Helps You Help Your Dog Community. And this is where I post these live, or I do these live, and we'll probably always be in that group. So I do share it further afield, but if you're interested in finding out more, then that group is the place to be. And I hang out there and answer questions, and yeah, Colum's in there as well. I'm sure if you post things, he'll answer questions too. All right. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, and see you all. She's away again. See you all next week. Bye. Bye.